the pop culture feel. And you will.
So, Izzy, a couple weeks ago, we kind of mentioned that you had a terrible haircut experience.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Uh-oh.
That is correct.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm noticing you're wearing a hat.
Yes, I am wearing a hat because I just wanted to say that I am also the victim of a terrible haircut experience.
Cameron, when I say I know what you're talking about, you know that it's true. What happened, man?
It's not my barber's fault. I've been going to this barber for, about a year now. Great barber. And I just gave him very poor direction. I'm trying to grow the mullet out now that I'm completely separated from the military. I can do anything I want. Woohoo.
Yeah.
And so I was I'm trying to grow the mullet out, but I want the front to be obviously styled. I don't want to just have unkempt hair. So I was I think the front was getting a little too long. It was almost in my mouth. So I'm let's take it up halfway up the forehead. And I don't know if I was doing a really surprised expression the entire time, but halfway up the forehead was a little too much off. So now I just look like John Bernthal in Fury, the bowl cut that's completely straight across the forehead. It is not a good look.
Well, you've always been a guy. I mean, you're wearing hats most of the time. When I
like to wear hats because I am insecure about my receding hairline at 27. So that's honestly the reason why I wear hats all the time. It's not just to plug in my Kick Out Apparel LA hat. It's because I'm very self-conscious. And if I don't spend at least 15 minutes doing my hair, and that includes shampoo, conditioner, but only shampoo every 3 days. I don't shampoo every day because that dries your hair out. But conditioner, and then I blow dry my hair, and then I style it, and then to hold it, I use a medium hold, low shine hairspray. So that's my routine, people. Judge me, I don't care. But
Cameron,
as they say in special operations, rule number 1, always look cool.
Cameron,
and right now, I'm breaking rule number 1.
I appreciate that. I think that's going to help a lot of people out there because I think you are not alone in your hairline insecurities. And so I think you're gonna sell a lot of hats, is what I'm saying.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I know I'm a avid consumer of not just my own hats, but many a hat. And someone that always looks cool and always has great hair is a spy. So I couldn't be a spy right now if I tried. But do you know who is a spy and has great hair in every single spy movie they're featured in?
It could only be one man.
Only one man. Why don't you go ahead and let us know?
That man is Tom Cruise. Not to be confused with his stunt double, Tom Cruise, Tomcruze, a la Ben Stiller Mission Impossible parody. But Tom Cruise, the star and producer and apparently now main stunt coordinator of his own movies of the Mission Impossible franchise, folks, is the Mission Impossible special. We are going to be talking all things Mission Impossible. We'll go through the history a little bit and all of the series. It really has kind of become its own its own kind of blockbuster franchise in and of itself. And Tom Cruise has been a big part of that. We'll talk about how he rose up in the ranks to produce, and now he's a big part of the stunts that the Mission Impossible movies are known for. I appreciate that, man.
Thanks, man. I was trying to add some dramatic effect.
It was good. I was trying to not listen. I was trying to my thoughts, because then you're like, I'm like, keep focusing, keep talking.
Keep focusing.
But Mission Impossible was actually a television show back in the 60s and 70s. It had a bit of a resurgence, I think, in the 80s. Didn't last for very long. But basically it was, the IMF, not the International Monetary Fund, but the Impossible Mission Force, which is this clandestine operational force that goes after, the baddest of the bad, the really high danger kind of operations and stuff. And then it's actually spawned into this multi-film franchise that started with the Brian De Palma directed Mission Impossible that came out in 1996. Cameron, were you I was going to say, were you around back then? You were not around. You were 1 year old, weren't you?
In 96, I was around, but I was about 1 year old. Sorry, my cat is screaming at me. Dude, relax. I know you're excited about Mission Impossible. I am too.
Cats are daredevils.
Yeah, cats are daredevils. They absolutely are. Yeah, but I was 1 year old
all
when
right.
1996. I was born in 95.
Okay, what
So
was your
I was
first
around, just not
exposure to
conscious.
Mission Impossible? What was your first Mission Impossible movie?
So I'm actually a Mission Impossible late bloomer. I know throughout the history of the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast, we've talked about it in detail in some episodes, and in our stunts episode, I know it had to be included. But I actually, when we decided that we were going to do a Mission Impossible special, I'm sure I've watched a couple of them in the past, but not like, I've seen Ghost Protocol and I recall scenes from it, but could I tell you the storyline and actors who played in it? No. So I actually took like a 3-day block and just binged all 7, and then yesterday watched the one, all 6. Yeah, all 6, right?
This is 7
Yeah,
in Dead
I
Reckoning.
binged all 6, and then yesterday I watched the 7th in theater. And yeah, man, they're really entertaining, but they definitely had an evolution to them.
They
Because,
did.
Like, the early ones they were hard to get through, to be honest, because they were like trying too hard, but the technology wasn't there for what they wanted. For example, I love, especially probably number 3 is when they started getting the masks right.
Okay, yeah.
They didn't look like absolutely terrible, because in the second one, how they always put on the mask, do clandestine stuff, or switch identities.
Yeah, it's a big part of the. It's one of the tropes that has carried through from all the films.
Absolutely, but when you watch Jackass and they do the parody where Johnny Knoxville dresses up like the old guy, and he just, if you were a guy on the street and had any IQ level to you, you would be able to identify that this guy is an imposter. No amount of hair and makeup and any type of facial masks or prosthetics, you can tell when it doesn't look right. And in the second and first movies, it's just there was no way that if you were a spy and you were wearing that mask, that if you were talking to somebody, that they wouldn't be like, hey, what's wrong with your face? You are not that guy.
The human eye, I think our brains can pick up on stuff pretty easily. We can differentiate between human faces and non-human faces and right and wrong. I actually think the first time you see the mask is in the very first opening minutes of Mission Impossible 1. And I actually think that it is it's not like he looks like somebody totally different. You can tell it's Tom Cruise in old guy makeup.
Yeah.
And then the cool trick that they do is he kind of pulls it off directly, and it's Tom Cruise. But the mask that he's wearing is like Tom Cruise in prosthetics.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, hey man, why do you have 2 eyelids? Because the crease. But yeah, I didn't. The first and second one, they started. It wasn't that great, but in the third and moving on from those, I think they really dialed it in, because they just did, they just used the actual actors and then would just do a hardcore swap at the end just for their face reveal.
Right.
And I think, that was what they should have done from the get-go. But obviously, they're in film, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of, trial and error. Yep. So the first 2, I like the second one, because the second one they start, what is it, with the rabbit's foot on the second one?
That's the third one. That's
the third
J.J.
one?
Abrams, that's his mystery box, the rabbit's foot.
Yeah,
Nobody knows what it
John
does.
Woo
Everyone
is the
wants
second
it.
one, right?
That's John Woo directed the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where they start out with the Russian professor, and they end up on the plane, and they basically take down the entire plane just to kill one man.
Yeah.
And, so I'm on the right track.
The virus.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they actually use Tom Cruise in that, and then at the end the bad guy ends up taking his face off and it's not Tom Cruise.
Yeah, exactly.
And but they started evolving, but the third one is when I felt that it became seamless, where it was just okay, they went away from using these masks in a terrible sense. But what was your first exposure, man? I know that was just a long-winded
it's a long-winded synopsis about your love of the mask.
Yeah, I totally redirected from the original question.
Well, my first exposure to Mission Impossible, I mean, I saw the first one in theaters, 1996. If that's 96, then I was like a freshman, sophomore in high school. That was my high school days, so I'm sure I went in Colorado Springs to go see it. This one was actually directed by Brian De Palma, so this one started it all. And Brian De Palma's no stranger to the game. He directed The Untouchables and Raising Cain, Carlito's Way, a lot of darker films. He directed, and you could tell because this one's real dark. I actually really like it a lot because of the intrigue and the mystery, and it kind of set the mold, I guess, as it were, from which the other movies kind of grew out of. But it's got the intrigue. Mission Impossible is supposed to be like a spy film franchise. It's so there's always like something that everybody's after. There's always like a MacGuffin, some item, something that everybody wants, and then Ethan and his team have to go get it. And Ethan, the character of Ethan Hunt is really cool because he's like a good person. He's like super morally straight.
Yeah,
and he's incorruptible. He's always very self-sacrificing, and which I think is part of the strength of the character and the enduring quality of the character. But the first one, I love the first one because like his whole team dies in like the first 5 minutes, and then he gets blamed for it. And Emilio Estevez is in it for like 2 seconds, which if you blink you miss him. But he gets I remember that I was shocked when I saw it in theaters. Like he gets spiked through the eye by the little claw things for the, I don't know, like do those things exist in elevator shafts, like these just little spiky claws that come down from the ceiling? But John Voight was in it, and Ving Rhames, the first time you see Ving Rhames in it, who he's only been absent from I think a couple of them, but he's Luther, he's his hacker guy in that one when he gets his new team together. But this one, as far as like main tropes, we got the face mask stuff, and then you got the stunts, and then Tom Cruise doing his own stunts. This is really, I think, where it really got going, because you got the fish aquarium explosion, and then him running from the deluge of water, like at the restaurant when he's talking to Kittredge, and Kittredge says like, "Hey, we think you're the mole, and we're coming after you. We're gonna get you," and then he throws that piece of like the gum plastic explosive against the aquarium wall, and then he jumps, and that was all. It's so funny to see it like regular motion because they shot it in slow motion, but it's like he's like running and everything happens really quick, and he just runs away from the water, and it doesn't look all that impressive. Actually, it looks more impressive, let me just say, when he's running away, because that water's coming at him, and they had like, I don't know if they had like did multiple takes, but they did it. And
you can't really control water at that point.
Yeah. they just went after it, and then of course the most famous image from the movie is the wire stunt in the secure room where he's like not allowed to make any sound, he's not allowed to touch the walls or the floor, and he's not allowed to like his like the sweat like dropping from his body, he has to like catch it. But when he's trying to hack in there, funny aside story. I don't know if it's out there on the internet. I should have checked before we started the episode, but I did a student film in high school for like my mass media class, and it was all about like how you should go to the library, and the library is so cool. It's like library, a world of wonder, or something like that. It's Doherty High School, 1997 or 98. If you want to look it up, you'll find it. But we recreated that. It wasn't me, but we recreated the thing where the guy's like on the harness and we lower him down, where he's like on the computer.
Damn, hell of a budget for a high school production. Huh?
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable because like he rigged it up himself, and we were just like pulled him up, and so I don't know if he can have kids anymore. But I liked Mission Impossible 1. Like is the one that started it all, and it's the one where Tom Cruise really started to get into producing. I think he actually produced the film as well as starring in it, which I think is continued on for all the rest of the franchise. But that was my first soiree into the Mission Impossible film world. I remember watching the TV show when I was a kid, and it had some cool ideas and stuff. It was just like, I don't know. Just one of those 80s shows that didn't do very well.
For me, one thing I really like about the franchise is that not only have they gotten better and better. But like how you mentioned how, it evolved into Tom doing his own stunts, and like some of the stunts they do are absolutely incredible. Like the most recent movie, I think that stunt where they're in the Austrian Alps and he takes the motocross bike and he has a parachute and he just launches himself out. That entire train sequence was just like one amazing stunt after the other amazing stunt. And like I was on the edge of my chair the entire time. Yeah. Like it just didn't stop. And I think that's one thing that I truly appreciate about like the Mission Impossibles is they don't pull any punches when it comes to doing these amazing feats. Because, in actuality, like, do we know if there's spies out there? No, because if we did, they wouldn't be spies. But like they absolutely need to be capable of doing the most superhuman things. The IMF, even though it has a terrible name, I've never been a fan. I've never been a fan of like the Impossible Mission Force. Yeah, kind of like cheesy. It's just not a good name, dude. It's not. But they are at their core the people you call when the top dogs can't get it done. Yeah. But in every movie they go rogue. Like they have to. Yeah. And, at the end of the day, they just end up like sweeping everything underneath the rug because like it totally works out. But like. At one point in time in every single film, the U.S. government wants to kill Ethan Hunt at some point, and they just get away with it, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, everything's cool, I guess."
I think Mission Impossible 2. You guys correct me out there if I'm wrong, but Mission Impossible 2, I think, is the only one where he is not hunted down by everybody, including the U.S. government. Like he's either disavowed, or they think he did it, or he has to go rogue, or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of one of the other tropes that has occurred is like, even the U.S. government, like in this last one, they're corrupt and they're going after, they want the same thing that everybody else wants in this, they want the MacGuffin too. And he's the only one, him and his team are the only ones that can, that have the moral high ground that want to do the right thing. But I think Mission Impossible 2, like he gets a mission and he has to execute on the mission and he doesn't have to go rogue or anything, but I think in every other one
he's not disavowed by the government.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what did you think of the second one? What did you think of Mission Impossible 2? Because this one was directed by John Woo, famous for the action movies, Hong Kong action movies, Hard Boiled, Face Off, Broken Arrow, Wind Talkers, Hard Target. Like he is known for like the double guns and the ridiculous action shooting sequences, and this was his Mission Impossible movie, and you can tell.
Oh, no, that's what I was going to say. You can absolutely tell that Mission Impossible 2 is directed by John Woo, because did John Woo direct Triple X?
No, that was like Ethan Cohen or something like that.
Okay, because I felt like I was watching Triple X with like the over the top. Like they even have Limp Bizkit like playing theme songs like in the movie. Yeah. So it's just a totally different feel, and that's another thing that I do like about the Mission Impossible films is each one is different in their own way. Yeah, like some of them are more centered in like a serious vibe, and then like the most recent one has way more comic relief like than any other one that I've seen. And they all have different elements, and you never know what you're going to expect. You just have to kind of go and see these movies, which I appreciate also the how serious Tom Cruise takes actually watching movies at the movie theater. You don't really see anymore the actor and the director before the movie starts like taking the time to like thank you for being at the movie theaters watching this. So that was a little thing I enjoyed about the new one. But the John Woo one, it's entertaining, but like I'm one of those freaking weirdos that like if something's not like true, and it's kind of hard to like push spy agenda that's like accurate, but like we've talked in depth before about like proper weapons manipulation and if that makes or breaks a movie for like say a veteran watching. But Mission Impossible 2, even though it has like the double guns and crazy crazy skydives off of buildings, it still did it for me because once you put Limp Bizkit behind something there, you can't take it serious at all. No, I actually enjoyed. That's when I started enjoying the movies. Mission Impossible 1 was, for me, it was a little hard to get through. But then 2 was like, okay, I can, after 2 was over, I was like, okay, let's see what 3's all about. And then 3 was better. And then I was like, okay, well, let's see what 4 is all about. And then it just kept getting better and better. But what I do appreciate also about the Mission Impossible franchise is that they do not recast. That is like something they do not do.
What do you
mean? If there's a character, for example, like Tom Cruise's wife in the second one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then what? When did the 6th one come out? 2018 from and then
Fallout.
Mission Impossible 2 was in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
And there she is, over 15 years later.
Yeah, Michelle Monaghan, or something. Yeah,
in it. And she's also in the 5th one as well. Like, she is a
big
constant character played in the movies. And I do appreciate it. Plus Luther's character, like, they never recast him. He is literally like in almost every single movie, and he, has no difference in character. He's like the voice of reason. He's the logic.
Yeah.
He's like the wise guy that you listen to.
Well, let's keep moving forward. Let's kind of move our way through, because I want to talk about Fallout. Spoilers, I think that's probably my favorite one so far. But Mission Impossible 3, what did you think about that one? This is directed by J.J. Abrams. It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in there as the bad guy. It's the rabbit's foot. Nobody knows what it does. Everybody wants it. It's J.J. Abrams' mystery box. I hate that. And who else we got? Michelle Monaghan. This is where he's trying to settle down, live a life, right? Billy Crudup, great actor, who is his handler. Kerry Russell, who, if you blink, you'll miss her because she dies in the beginning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Simon Pegg.
Oh wait, is this the one when he's like settled down and then they approach him again?
Yeah, this is the one where he's trying to settle down and he gets caught up and everything. So.
Okay, see, I thought I'm getting them scrimmed. There are so many of these.
Dude, there's 7 of them so far,
And they're all about the same thing, It's like there's a bad guy up to no good, and they have to call Ethan in. So I apologize for getting these confused.
Usually there's like a stumble, like they lose something or somebody, they don't succeed maybe, and then they kind of have to get back into it. There's always some sort of like loss or fail in the beginning or in the middle, and then they have to kind of recover and like get in business and get things done.
Okay. I do thank myself for doing this. When I was watching the movies, I opened my iPhone and started taking notes about my gripes. Let me just go back really quick to Mission Impossible 2.
Okay.
Because now I'm remembering the differences, because I wrote some notes here that I'm like, why? I think the whole point of these notes is like I said before, if you're a veteran watching, like some things bother you.
Okay.
So, for example, Mission Impossible 2, when they're... he has to get on that island that's like heavily guarded, and the guys are there and they've kidnapped. Don't they have somebody that he has to rescue?
Newton's character, or
I'm not sure. They're on an island, and like the 2 main baddies there that he has like the fight to the death to the end.
DeGray Scott and his like right hand man who is the bad guy in Moulin Rouge. Yeah,
exactly. Well, here's my gripe. So first of all, it is an island, and it's like a decent amount off the coast of wherever they are. Mm-hmm. How the hell did he get on that island? Because it just like cuts to him like climbing up this seaside cliff. There is no boat. He is dry as can be. He's wearing a beanie. Like, he did not dive in. And since he did not dive in, that means he had to take some sort of craft. And it has 360 security on it. There is no way that he could get to that island just by boat without being spotted. And then he didn't dive in because he's completely dry, like I said. So I was just like, how the hell did he do this? Like, how did he get there? That Rick and Morty spoof where it's just like, how did I get here? And it like cuts to the lady and she's like, how did I get here? She's like on top of a lamp on the street. And she's just like, how did I get here? And he's like, don't use the vending machine. And anyway, so how did he get there? And then the combat sequences are super ridiculous. He has like the John Woo combat rolls, and like he's doing all these dives, and, like gosh. Totally unnecessary. It was basically, it took me back to Wind Talkers, which you said was a John Woo film, where they're doing combat rolls all the time. So they did not shy away from the combat roll in number 2. Okay, now we're caught up. That was my gripe with number 2. Number 3, this is what I have on my notes. Ethan Hunt should have been shot numerous times, period.
Just in all the gunfight scenes, like obviously.
Yeah, no, he absolutely should have been shot. So this is when they intercept that old baddie. They face swap him out of the that big fancy dinner party, and they kidnap him in the bathroom.
Yep.
And then they switch identities with him. So basically, during the scene when those like Russian operatives come and try to rescue him with the drone, and like they fast rope in and they blow him up. Yeah, and they're in the vehicle and like they're fighting that drone. He gets on top of a vehicle to shoot the helicopter, which is only like 100 meters away.
Yep.
And no one on this helicopter is shooting back. They're even like, as he's like looking at them, it like shows the scene where he's like looking down barrel, and then it cuts to the helicopter, and it's like showing the helicopter being hit by bullets. Like all the dudes like sitting in the door have like long range, like AR-10s or some sort of long range capability.
Yeah.
And they're just staring at him, letting him shoot at him. And nobody shoots back. And then on top of that, when they first come in and like fast rope, there's a shot of them looking down the scope. Like it's a shot where the guy's like in the scope, like literally seeing Ethan Hunt crouched behind a vehicle, and he's like halfway out of it. And the dude's reticle is like straight on him. And he does not shoot. He just doesn't shoot.
And that plot armor.
Yeah, and then it says here in my notes too, plus the sniper has him in his sights and does not engage, period. In all caps, whack.
That's great, man. That's good criticism. You pick up on those things. I get lost in the excitement of it all, especially the drone thing. That was like a big selling point. Like that was in the trailer of like him running and the drone like blows up the car and it blasts Tom Cruise against the other car.
Yeah, it was good. Even in the action, man. Always a critic.
It's good, man. You know what? Don't ever turn off that soldier brain of yours.
I won't. But sadly, that is all the notes I took on all of them, because I guess they started getting more current, and I'm just like, okay, these are getting less. Like I have to critique less and less because they're just getting more and more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. The Mission Impossible 3. My general take on that. I mean, apart from the stunts keep getting better and better, and this is the first time that we see the Tom Cruise run, which actually has become a mainstay in the Mission Impossible movies. There's always a long tracking shot of him running, full-on sprinting,
full-on sprint.
And which Tom Cruise, man, if there's one thing that he does is he trains hard for these movies, man. He puts his body on the line, which I really appreciate, because you can see it's him. And he's just sprinting through China or wherever.
Yeah, he's doing like an 800-meter sprint at like a 5-minute pace. He is like booking it.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 4, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. This is directed by Brad Bird, who's actually more famous for doing a lot of like Disney animated films.
Interesting. I was wondering why you put lots of Disney stuff in here. I'm like, there's a lot of Disney stuff in Ghost Protocol. Because I was like trying to think of like any princesses that needed help.
Yeah, no, Brad Bird directed he does a lot of, like I said, the animated films, but this is the one where we get into more of the classic trope of, he was disavowed in the third one, I think, or he went rogue in the third one. This one, he really goes rogue because they totally shut down IMF, but then he decides to go it alone with his friends anyway. Paul Patton's in it. Jeremy Renner makes an appearance. Jay Holloway, who was in Lost, he's in it for like 5 minutes and then he gets killed. But I even forget what the MacGuffin is in this one. I know this. So this is the one where it has the big scene where he is climbing on the side of the Wiz Khalifa,
the Burj Khalifa. The Wiz Khalifa, the Burj Khalifa.
There you go, Burj Khalifa, and he's actually out there. It's really great if you want to Google the behind the scenes of him. Just like obviously he's on wires, he's not just climbing alone.
Yeah,
but
still,
but he's out there. He's really out there.
Yeah,
he's out there doing the big
it.
jump where he has to do the big kind of turning jump to go from one side of the building to the other, and that's really him doing it. Which is just, man, so impressive.
It is very impressive. That's an amazing scene because, like, climbing, and when he has these suction gloves and like one of them malfunctions and he has to like take it off and then he just starts climbing free solo with one hand.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing scene. Yeah, I think Ghost Protocol really did it for me. That's when I was like sucked in because I think the plot is they have a mission at the Kremlin and they end up trying to gain this intel, but in the process, they're framed for blowing up the Kremlin. So now they get completely disavowed by the U.S. government, are labeled as terrorist rogues from the IMF, and they have to Ethan Hunt's being brought in by U.S. officials, but then he's like, yeah, we're going to bring you in, label you as a terrorist, unless you knock me out right now, and then go to the secret cache that I have labeled for you, where you will build a team and try to prove your innocence by stopping this shit. And that actor,
that one older actor who's I forget, he's a British guy, but he gets killed though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets shot in the head by the craziest. I thought they were terrorists at first, because I thought they were like the baddies that blew up the Kremlin, but it's literally just the Russian police force, rocking AK-47s and just shooting everything that moves.
Oh, okay.
So that threw me through a loop, because they had RPKs, they had like I said, AKs, they had every single full auto weapon, and they were just the police guys, completely shooting everything that moves. They killed a giant higher up, the secretary. He's the secretary at the time.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Renner's also in the car, who you find out later is also was a member of he was a field agent for CIA, or he was in IMF as well, but then he stepped down because he's responsible. He thought he was responsible for getting Tom Cruise's wife killed, but then you find out at the end that she wasn't killed, but she was saved, and that she just went ghost because Tom wanted to protect her identity, and he blamed himself.
She's got one shot at the very end where he's kind of looking out for her, and she got to give him
in Seattle.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now it's all coming back to me now.
It's all coming back, man.
Yeah. I guess for me that would be the most. Ghost Protocol is the one that kind of goes away quicker than the other ones, because I remember a couple of the stunts and Jeremy Renner's in it, and that's about it.
Yeah. They start to blur together really quick.
It's true. Yep.
Yeah. Moving on to Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation. Off the top of my head, I could not tell you. If we didn't have notes written down, I would be completely lost in the sauce, because I honestly don't remember much from. Is this where he's in a Russian prison? Or no, that's Ghost Protocol when they bust him out.
Yeah, he busts himself out, I think. Yeah. This is Rogue Nation. These are the big bads in the Mission Impossible world. I forget what they're called, but they're an organization.
The Syndicate? Is it the Syndicate?
There you go. The Syndicate is okay.
Now it's all
the anti-IMF, and this is the introduction to Rebecca Ferguson, the
White
Ilsa,
Widow, right?
Yeah, Ilsa, who she's an MI6
Oh, no, not
agent.
The White Widow.
No, but, White Widow's the arms dealer. She's also in this, I think. Or no,
okay.
Is she in Fallout? I think she's in Fallout, actually. In the history of strong female characters, which we like to, it's kind of a trope at this point, or a meme at this point. But she's an MI6 agent. She's super competent, and she actually saves his life, I think, twice. In the beginning, he's in trouble, and she has her famous move where she jumps on the dude's shoulders and snaps their neck or whatever, with wraps her legs around or whatever. And then one of the coolest stunts of the whole franchise is when he has to go underwater into that that supercomputer kind of area.
Yeah, and he has to hold his breath.
Yeah,
right?
he stole his breath, and I think he held his breath. In actuality, was able to hold his breath for up to 6 minutes.
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane.
And she had to do a little bit of the same. I don't think maybe to the extent that he did, but he actually, he does his job, but then he can't get out. He can't kind of pull the lever to, expel the water, and she gets in there and she saves his life, twice. So a really great relationship they have that carries on through 3 movies at this point, Rogue Nation, Fallout, and then Dead Reckoning. She's in each one, which is super cool. And then Ving Rhames comes back. And then Sean Harris is the bad guy. He is the leader of the syndicate. And I think at the end they have, he has Simon Pegg in a vest, a bomb vest. And, and then they end up capturing him. And then that story actually follows into the 6th one, Fallout. By the way, I can't believe I almost neglected to say this, but in terms of stunts, going back to the stunt ideas, Rogue Nation, Tom Cruise on the side of a plane, man.
Oh my God, yeah. I was waiting for you to end your thought so we could revisit that, because even though it's he's, the safety standards for this, he's attached to the plane.
Sure.
But still, that's him, and the plane's taking off. And I don't know, from being airborne like, you know, I've been in many C-17s, I've been in many C-130s. When the doors open up and like you're standing in the door alone, like the gust of wind hitting you is absolutely insane. And the fact that he was on the side of this C-17 just like taking it as it took off was just, I was just like, oh my God, like that is intense.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, it's just like one of those things. Well, by the way, a side note, one thing I want to give credit to is, actually, you know what? I'll hold that thought. Wait till we get to Dead Reckoning Part 1 and I'll tell you about something. But, the racing the motorcycles too. This is something that he's become known for. He does it in Rogue Nation. I don't know if he does it I think he does it a little bit in Fallout too. But he's definitely a motorcycle guy. Like he's going high speed, you know, very good at what he does when it comes to racing motorcycles. So good on him for that stuff too. He's no slouch.
Tom Cruise is just a well-rounded individual.
He is. He's a stuntman. He's an actor. He's a producer. He does it all. All right, Fallout 2018.
Here we are.
This is my favorite of all of the series of Mission Impossibles because I think it just has everything. It has the bit of spy intrigue, right? It has a follow-on story from the previous one because Solomon Lane's back and now he's captured, but then he kind of gets busted out, and then Henry Cavill is as Carter. He's from the CIA. Rebecca Ferguson's back. Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, everybody. Henry Cavill's such a great addition. He's like this hothead CIA guy. They got he's kind of like sent in to like keep an eye on Ethan Hunt. They have kind of the same goals in the beginning, and then spoilers, folks, you find out that he's the leader of the syndicate at the very end. But everything just kind of wraps up, you know, like it wraps up all these storylines. Michelle Monaghan's back. You know, she has started a new life with Wes Bentley. They're both like Doctors Without Borders type, but then she gets wrapped up in it. And then of course you got the great stunts. You got the Halo jump scene. You got Tom Cruise running across and jumping across buildings and then breaking his ankle. They have to shut down production for like 6 months. And
was that what you were talking about earlier on another episode?
Yeah.
I was trying. Yeah, when he jumps across and like literally clips himself on the corner.
Well, yeah, he was supposed to. You know, the stunt. He's on wires, and he was supposed to almost not make it. That was in the script, but his foot hit the wall on the edge with more force than he thought, and you can see in the footage where it's like it like bends way further than a foot should. And then he like tries to get back up and like run and keep running. And
he like limps away.
Yeah. So he was out for 6 weeks, and I don't even think it like fully recovered. They just had to keep shooting. So he's like, I'm back. We're going to do it, you know?
Yeah. You're going to run some more. Let's run some more.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say Fallout's your favorite because it was my favorite out of the films as well, out of all the franchise. Just because there was absolutely crazy stunts. Like, I think if you're gonna make a movie, like you should make it in the times that it deserves to be made in, as far as like technology, because like the stunts they did were absolutely amazing. That fight sequence in the bathroom with Henry Cavill, Tom Cruise, and that Asian guy, like that was an amazing fight sequence, and it had like comic relief when they're in the bathroom, like trying to scan his face, but all those drunk French guys come in and they're like, "Come on, we want to party too, come on, dude," and then. Honestly, Tom and Henry Cavill get the absolute shit kicked out of them.
Yeah, that like, Asian dude, I'm trying to look him up right now. He was no slouch, man.
No, he rocked them.
Yang is the actor's name.
Yang
Dang. This guy that they're after. He's a Chinese actor.
He's John Lark, right? He's John Lark.
He is John Lark, yeah. And then they end up killing him, or he gets shot by Rebecca Ferguson. And then Tom Cruise has to take his identity and meet Vanessa Kirby, the arms dealer. So he does a lot of fight coordinating, actually. It looks like he's done a lot of stunt coordinating and fight coordinating in movies. Not a lot of acting, but he does a lot of stuff. So that's cool that he got that. I mean, there's not a lot of acting in it, but he probably coordinated the fight scene, you know.
I would say so, yeah, and it was an amazing fight scene.
Yeah, brutal, just like real hardcore.
Using weapons, using everything, just kicking the... I mean, it's what a thing, you know, to say that you've kicked the shit out of Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill. Like, what a feat and an accomplishment.
Yep.
But yeah, that fight scene's absolutely amazing. The plot, I think, is really good. There's triple crosses in it. You have
Great
you
use
have,
of
like,
the
classic
mask.
spy.
You
You have
mask in
brings
there,
back the masks. It has the helicopter chase scene at the end.
Yeah.
When like Tom Cruise gets in the helicopter and he's never flown a helicopter before and he's like learning on the fly. And he's just like, well, the only way to take this thing down is to. You think he's gonna do it with the payload, dropping it, and then he like misses the payload, and he's like, crap. And then he just has to like literally ram them with the helicopter, and it just. I don't know how they would have survived that in actuality.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, Hollywood magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do cardio. You want to survive helicopter crashes? Do lots of cardio. That's the secret.
You know what? Let me say something about this series, or the character of Ethan Hunt is, he is not a Superman, right? He makes mistakes. He gets injured. He doesn't know everything. So there's like a fallibility to him as a character that really makes him a better character, right? Because if you don't really feel like your main character in an action movie is in any danger, you don't feel that. One, if you don't care about him, and two, if you feel like he can just do everything, well, then you're not really scared when he goes up against the bad guy, or
he's gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But not with Ethan Hunt as a character. Like the bathroom fight scene, he gets his butt kicked and he makes mistakes and he doesn't know how to do things. He needs help from his team. I think that's part of the strength of him as a character, and then they keep that going throughout all the movies and stuff. So
yeah, and he even has these little like these moments, especially like when he gets in the helicopter for the first time, he's like, I can do this. Like he like knows that he has no idea what he's doing, which I think added a little bit of more vulnerability to his character that connected with the audience way better, because they're watching this scene and they're like, huh, if he can do it, I can do anything. Yeah.
Yep. Well,
so there's these little moments of vulnerability, and actually taking his character and not make it into a superhuman, like you said. He's like, he has flaws. He gripes with his own morality like numerous times when he knows he should kill somebody, or he wants to kill someone. Yep. But he's like, if I kill this, like it'll be the end of the mission and I won't be able to accomplish it for the greater good. He's like, he has these struggles, especially in Dead Reckoning when he's like on the train. He wants to kill this guy.
He wants to kill the dude.
Gabriel.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, on that note, let's go right into Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah, came out this year. You just saw it, right?
Yeah, it's fresh in my mind. I am ready to talk.
Oh, this is great. I feel like MI7, Mission Impossible knows what it is. They know what they're good at, and they have their kind of big, the big set pieces, the big stunts. There's a big, MacGuffin. There's a big thing out there. This one, I love the take on the kind of world-ending threat, because usually it's like a nuclear bomb. Like in Fallout, it was 2 nuclear bombs. Like, how do you get bigger than that, or more deadly or threatening than that? It's an evil AI. Like, it's the kind of self-aware.
ChatGPT takes over.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's out there, and it's an enemy that seems to know everything, because by calculation, it has predicted all of the eventualities. But the one thing that it can't predict is Ethan Hunt, because he is unpredictable. He improvises, and he's the only one. Everybody's after this AI. They all want to control it. They think they can. He's the only one that actually wants to kill and stop this thing, and that's what his team is trying to do.
Yeah, too much power for one man, so might as well just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I liked that concept too, just because, like, how do you get bigger than a nuclear bomb? You do real world threats, and like, what's the biggest threat right now in everybody's mind is like, machine learning and AI. Like, what happens when this shit becomes sentient? Like, what happens when it realizes, like, it can control itself and that humans are the problem? Like, we literally just turned Mission Impossible into Terminator. Yeah, it's like Skynet goes online, and now we have Mission Impossible 72 in year, 2932 or something.
Yeah. Yep.
I really enjoyed it. It started off a little whack, though. Like, the meeting between, like, all the heads.
Big info dump.
Yeah, the big info dump, and they keep, like, that random guy just walks in, and you're like, who is that? You think it's the big baddie, because all of us, like, throughout this sequence, and first of all, no brief that I've ever been in regardless of how higher up people are in there and how profiled individuals are in there, they finish each other's sentences like flawlessly. like one guy will be like, and it's mission critical that this doesn't get out. And then he takes like maybe a half-second pause, and another guy begins, because of this blah 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 blah. And then it's also, and another guy's like, and then it's like seamless.
Yeah.
Information. And I'm like, first of all, it never works out like that. And then it keeps like in the midst of this info dump, it keeps like cutting to this guy. Yep. And he's just looking at the camera all wide-eyed. And you're like, why does the camera keep, like, I get it, like I understand, like there's this entire opening of this guy entering the room going through security, and I'm already like curious in my mind who this guy is, but I don't need to be reminded every 4 seconds in like a 5-minute sequence, like he is in the room just staring at people. Like, okay, like I know this guy's important. It turned out to be Ethan Hunt, spoilers folks. But yeah, it was like that kind of started off. I was like, oh, I hope they don't go crazy with this stuff. And then it got better and better and better. Yeah. But yeah, that was my one gripe with Dead Reckoning. But I really liked it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it too. Haley Atwell comes into it. She's a new character that gets caught up in the action. She's like an international thief who gets hired, it turns out, by the arms dealer.
The White Widow.
Yeah, the White Widow who comes back from Fallout. But she gets caught up with Ethan Hunt and his character, and they really do some good character stuff where they put Ethan out there, like they kind of lay it all on the line about why he is who he is, kind of the core of who he is and what makes Ethan Hunt such an adversary for the AI, but then also like the heart of who he is like his self-sacrificing nature. And I got choked up at one point. I didn't expect to get choked up, but like, when he's talking,
let me guess, is that scene when they're talking, they're like, but you don't even know me, and he's like, what does that matter? Was it that scene?
That is exactly the moment. It's anything
like,
that would
I can't promise you your safety, but I can promise you that your life is worth more than mine.
More than my own.
And that was another one of my gripes, dude.
Come on,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin it with you, but that one thief character, she cries so much in that movie.
She's in a stressful situation.
I know she's stressful, but like even when like Ethan Hunt originally meets her and he's like, I know you. Like it's not even the AI guy that knows everything about anyone, but he's just like, I know you. You're a small girl that grew up in terrible circumstances.
He gives her like her psychological profile.
Yeah, and then she like becomes teary-eyed listening to this. If that was me, I'd just be like, all right, man, you went on Facebook. Like, congrats. And like she becomes teary-eyed, and I'm just like, okay, she becomes teary-eyed at that. She becomes teary-eyed. I mean, I would have saved it for like that dramatic scene because it was a choker, but then I remembered that she's a crybaby, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
Another shout out to Palm. Rebecca Ferguson's back. The team's back. Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, but Palm Clementif, who plays Mantis in the MCU, the Marvel Universe, she's like the lead henchman for Gabriel, and she even has like a bit of an arc in the movie, which is hard to do when she has maybe 2 lines in the whole.
Yeah, she does.
You know, but she does a really great job. She's like. I love it when they have a henchman with a little bit of character because you can tell the whole movie like she loves what she gets to do. She's like a believer. She believes in the AI. And then when she's after them, there's this great chase scene when Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise are in this little teeny Euro car, and then Palm Clementif's in this giant armored truck, and she's going after him, and she's just like smiling and giggling the whole time when she's like destroying cars and
just having a hoot,
running people over. Yeah, but. Yeah, she's great. And this one, we got the big stunts. I mean, the big one, obviously, is the big selling point of the whole movie and all the marketing campaigns materials is the big jump off of the cliff where Tom Cruise jumps off. He rides the motorcycle off the cliff, and then he opens his parachute. I will say that this is not the first time this has been done. There's a 007 movie. I think it's Her Majesty's Secret Service, where there is a part where James Bond, the stuntman, for James Bond, rides a motorcycle off a cliff, and it's in one shot. Rides a motorcycle on a cliff, or no, it's not a motorcycle, it's ski. He skis off a cliff, kicks his skis away, and then opens his parachute, and it's like the Union Jack UK flag for the parachute, and it's like ba-da, ba-da. So that's something similar to that has been done, but not to take anything away from Tom Cruise, that definitely it's like the main stunt that sells the whole movie,
Yeah. And not just that stunt, but like I said before, the entire train sequence, like when the train is crashing and they're like trying to get from car to car, that was like so intense.
It's like slowly, each section is slowly being pulled down and falls into the cliff, and they're like running through each one. Yeah. So cool.
They run through like the kitchen cart and it's like catching fire and all the fryer oil is like literally being dumped everywhere. Yeah, no, that was like, I was on this ever since he went off that cliff. Like that entire sequence was like a nail biter. Just like every second of it was awesome.
Yeah.
Do a good job. I did enjoy another factor about MI7 before we wrap it up here is unless you have any final thoughts. I do enjoy the comic relief that was in it. Like, every Mission Impossible has like, a level of seriousness. Like, I didn't really feel like there was a lot of comic relief in Fallout, but in this one, like when they're going to the safe car in Rome and you see this beautiful Ferrari and you're like, oh, hell yeah. And all of a sudden the safe car is like this little beat up Fiat that like pulls out and he gets in and he's like trying to figure out how it works. And like the windshield wipers are going. He's like, I swear, like this doesn't happen. This is like new for me. He's like, sometimes it just takes me a second to figure out. And like they're pressing all the buttons and then he like takes the car off and he doesn't realize it's so fast and it like crashes into the thing. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So like moments like that made the film for me. There's in all this seriousness and chaos, like a little comic relief is like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Way to go, man. Yeah. That's a good point. Well, now that we have gone through, by the way, there's still one Mission Impossible movie yet to come out at the time of this recording. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. We'll see how long it takes them to get through the writers and the actor strike. You can let us know, or we'll come back and do a check-in in the future. But anyway, that is, as they say, that's all the Mission Impossible movies. Let us know what you guys thought of Mission Impossible franchise. Do you like it, not like it? Which one's your favorite? Send us an email, pcfmpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM through our Instagram. That's where we're most active, and we'll check our Twitter sometime too. But yeah, man. Now, let's see. I don't see a fan question here, but we have a game, yes?
We do have a game, yes. We don't have a fan question this week, so that gives you guys more reasons to send us that email because we love interacting with you guys and we love seeing and answering your questions. So don't be afraid to shoot us that email. But let's play this game, man.
All right.
I don't have it, so that means you're a game master.
I am the game master. So, Cam, we have a fun game for you. Since you watched all of the Mission Impossible movies, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Big feat.
This game is called Mission Cam Possible.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like Kim Possible.
That's right. Hold for applause. I'll give you the name of a Mission Impossible villain, and you tell me in which movie they were the big bad.
Oh, God. Okay.
Cameron.
And I love how we just said, like, oh, yeah, they all kind of just become one movie.
And you've never been one to remember names. I think you're good with faces, but
I remember. I'm a good face guy.
Okay. Well, maybe I could describe some facial features. No, let's
big nose, hairy eyebrows.
That's right. It has some hair. Old. There's 7 of them here, so let's start with the first one. No warm up. Here we go. Are you ready?
Okay, I am ready. Let's do it.
Play along at home, folks. Owen Davian.
Owen Davian.
Oh, such generic. God. When you think about it, there's just such generic names, except for like a couple of them.
No. Owen Davian. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the second one.
That is incorrect.
Oh, great.
Mission Impossible 3, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's the international arms dealer that they have to kidnap in the beginning.
Oh, the old guy.
And then he escapes. Okay. I like how you call him the old guy. He was not that old when he did this movie.
Yeah.
He just had a receding hairline.
Yeah. I consider myself old if that's all it takes. So.
All right.
Let's go. Next one. Process of elimination. So I'm just going to answer 2 for every single one.
You'll get it eventually. Right. You'll be right at least once. Jim Phelps.
Jim Phelps.
I'll give you a hint. Good evening, Mr. Phelps.
Oh, God. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's, that did not help me at all. That just shows you how much I paid attention during these movies to their names. It's definitely not in the recent ones. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the first movie because I don't remember anything from the first movie.
So it's by process of elimination. That is actually correct. It's Mission Impossible 1. It's Jon Voight's character. He's the good guy in the beginning, and then you think he's dead, and he comes back. He's the bad guy, Jim Phelps.
Yes.
So he gets a briefing in the beginning where it says, "Good morning, Mr. Phelps," or "Good evening, Mr. Phelps."
Okay, perfect.
Good one. Good.
Your mission if you choose to accept it.
1-1. Correct. All right. Next one, August Walker or John Lark.
Okay, that's going to be Fallout.
Correct. That is Henry Cavill's character,
Yes.
Mission Impossible Fallout. Yes.
Yeah.
The leader
that
of
one
the
is fresh in my mind.
Yeah, good for you, man. See, you're doing better than I thought.
Okay, cool.
All
Let's
right.
wrap this up, dude.
Next one, Solomon Lane.
Solomon Lane is going to be he plays in Fallout and then Rogue Nation as well. He gets introduced in Rogue Nation as the leader of the syndicate. So, Rogue Nation.
Correct on both counts. He's in Rogue Nation and Fallout. That's Sean Harris's character. Right on track, man. Right on track.
Okay, here we go.
All right, we'll see if we can keep it on the rails. Sean Ambrose.
Sean Ambrose. Oh, great. Okay, back to square one. I'm just going to stick with my original plan here and just say Mission Impossible 2 for everything. Because I remember that guy who he has the big brawl on the island with fisticuffs and chasing him on the motorcycle. I don't remember his name, but I'm assuming through process of elimination, since it's not the newer ones, it's either that or Ghost Protocol, but I'm going to send it and just say number 2.
Correct. Your strategy paid off, man. Gray Scott's character, Sean Ambrose. He's the big bad Mission Impossible 2. Yeah, good job, man.
Okay, cool. All right. So now my strategy is to say Ghost Protocol for every single one. We'll see. Unless something is like, oh, yeah. Huh.
All right, next one. Gabriel.
Okay, that one is fresh in my mind. So that's going to be Dead Reckoning Part 1. But is he also in Mission Impossible 1 because he kills his wife?
Yeah, but I think it's meant to be something that happened before the events of any of the movies, I think.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, then we're just going to go Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah. That was the one of the gripes I had with Dead Reckoning is that kind of shoehorned backstory between the two characters was kind of thrown in there.
Because it had that flashback to and it looked like old footage, from 80s or 90s, and you're like, wait, I don't remember that guy.
Right. I think that was just to kind of give him some backstory, but yeah, that's correct, man. So you've got most of these right. You got one more left, man. You are batting about 800.
Okay.
Kurt Hendricks,
and let's see, Kurt Hendricks. What do I have left? I have Ghost Protocol and Mission Impossible 3 left to pick from. I'm trying to figure out. I don't even remember the plot of number 3 now. And then Ghost Protocol is they have to go after who's framing them. It's a 50-50 shot here, so I'm just going to go for Mission Impossible 3. Screw it. Let's do it.
Oh, not quite. You had good instincts. Ghost Protocol. You already had Owen Davian. He was the first one. That was Mission Impossible 3.
Oh, see? That's just me not thinking and being stupid.
Well, hey, you got a lot of them. More of them correct than I thought you would.
Oh, well, that's one. Well, 5 out of 7,
Yeah,
right?
5 out of 7. Good job,
I'll
man.
take that.
And with that, folks, how did you do at home? Let us know. But with that, that's going to do it for this episode of the Pop Culture Field Manual Podcast. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. New episodes every Wednesday. Check out our Patreon if you want exclusive Patreon-only episodes. And once a month, we do a live stream of a movie with our top-tier subscribers. So full unedited episodes, video and audio, extra episodes, and then a live stream for our top-tier subscribers. So check that out, folks. Check out our merch. You can get that link in our Instagram. All sorts of good goodies out there. And we hope you stay safe and don't engage in any possible missions between now and next Wednesday.
And with that, cue music.